bodybuilder. My passion right now is in studying how IFBB Pro, which is a bodybuilding league, how their mindset makes them so successful. Because I believe that it's really truly difficult to be in sports and be a bodybuilder. And if you have that mindset, then you can succeed at every aspect of your life, basically. So that's my passion right now. Our current study, I will get into the current study, cyberbullying in higher learning, with a social phenomenon. I chose to do this study because I have experienced this myself. I wanted to bring awareness to this, and it's essentially something that's still in progress. And we just did some research, and I'm going to be discussing that right now. So the cyberbullying phenomenon, it's a phenomenon that's affecting everyone worldwide, especially students of higher education, not to mention students in high school and elementary school. With the increase in technological use, everybody's texting, everybody's on social media. So instead of the traditional bullying, cyberbullying has become so much more easier. Like, it could be anonymous, and it's just affecting so many lives. It's defined as the intentional, verbal, physical, and emotional intimidation. It's a power balance between the bully and the victim. As technology increases, and I feel like everything is technologically based, cyberbullying is also increasing. Again, it's a harm through virtual means such as social media, cell phones, texting, emailing, and other forms of online communication. The cyberbullying impacts, some of the little tidbits that I'm going to go over in this presentation. One significant event you guys might have heard about. Tyler Clementi was a student at Rutgers University who committed suicide after he was cyberbullied by his roommate. He had just started school. He was a very gifted violinist, and he killed himself. Some of the emotional and psychological concerns, which are anger, increased alcohol consumption, post-traumatic stress disorder, and academic setbacks, not to mention so many others. So 86% of students in a university have access to internet, and half of these students are being cyberbullied. College students usually hide these from their parents or teachers, so nobody can really help them. There is no awareness. Unless something bad happens, then everybody starts to kind of know about it. So different types of cyberbullying, anything and everything that's technologically based. The use of personal computers, posting demeaning, insulting stuff online, on Facebook, on Instagram, sending instant messages and emails that are that will make somebody uncomfortable. Anything that makes anybody uncomfortable is considered harassment. Text messages can be sent through cell phones. Using language that's vulgar can also be sent through cell phones. Cyber stalking, online harassment, flaming, exclusion, and masquerading. Also developing websites to make fun of or ridicule other students or other people. And this is not just students, this is everyone. Posting disrespectful images of somebody online. I mean, you guys get the picture. Elements of this cyberbullying. The reason why this is so easy to do, because it's anonymous. I can cyberbully somebody else internationally, and they're not going to know who I am. So it's so easy to do. It's also kind of like a social dominance theory where there is like a head of the pack, that feels like they need to rule and dominate, so that's also connected to cyberbullying. So due to the anonymous nature of cyberbullying, a perpetrator's identity can stay private. They will never get caught. Lack of reaction from a victim leads to increased chance of adverse behavior like suicide, depression, and loneliness. And a cyberbully can attack multiple people at the same time. So it's not just face-to-face bullying like it was, in the 80s. It's like I can bully several people and affect so many lives at the same time. So elements of cyberbullying, I did some review of literature, and a study by Dilmack, 2009, came up with a lot of facts, which I found interesting. So previous engagement of cyberbullying, for example, if you were a bully in high school, you're going to be a bully later in your life. If you were bullied, you're going to be bullied. Personality traits such as an aggressive personality is more likely to be a bully. Endurance was a negative attribute regarding future cyberbullying acts. Social dominance theory, like I mentioned, is based on the idea that individuals belong to a subordinate group or dominant groups. So there's the head group, and then there's a subordinate group, and the subordinate group needs to abide to the dominant group. Albert Bandura, who is a very well-known mind theorist, in 1977 described the social dominance theory as those individuals with higher power status and rank are capable of maintaining their social hierarchy within the group. And let me see here. Okay. So Watts et al. 2017 is another study that I looked into. It's the study that tested out the social dominance theory among 695 undergraduate students. 6.9% of females and 9.6% of males cyberbullied. They were cyberbullied, which failed to identify the statistical significance of males being more dominant than females. Cyberbullying is all across the board. So they're linking the social dominance theory to the cyberbullying phenomenon, and it helps us to understand the different patterns and behaviors. Elements of cyberbullying, another study that I looked into by Barr and Mitchell, 2004. So the lack of technological knowledge among parents and caregivers and loved ones is a factor in why this keeps being an ongoing thing. So lack of parent and caregiver engagement leads to increased number of cyberbullying occurrences. Decreased interaction and poor relationships between parents and children increases cyberbullying occurrences. How many of you guys have young children? They probably, if they're in high school, if they're in college, they're not going to come up and tell you. They're going to be very private about it. I know I'm that type of a person because I don't want to worry my parents and my esteemed fan club managers in the audience, my mom. That's a big problem. So we actually need to look into that for future research. Negative side effects of cyberbullying, emotional, psychological issues, mental health issues, psychosomatic problems, anger, academic drawbacks, like children dropping out of school because they can't be in an environment where they're being bullied, depression, anxiety, alcohol use. So chances are if they start drinking in high school, that's going to continue on to into higher education and whatnot. Embarrassment, suicidal tendencies, and some have committed suicide, and I will go into the suicide aspect of this a little bit later. Another study by Pachin and Hinduja, 2006, effects of cyberbullying were reported. 60% felt angry, 31.9% were affected in school, 42.5% were frustrated, 27% were sad, and 26.5% were affected in their home life. So this is a big problem. Another study by Hinduja and Pachin, 2006, negative outcomes are attributed to hurting, embarrassing, threatening, basically they're reiterating what we've already discussed. These cyber messages, like on Facebook and Instagram, aren't long lasting. Unless you delete them, they're there. And so somebody can go and look at them, and it's like, it's just not like a face-to-face thing. It's something that's gonna affect them constantly if they keep looking at it. Harassment at any time of the day, like I said, you could harass somebody internationally. So new electronic communication devices increases the likelihood of cyberbullying occurrences. So they're basically confirming what we discussed. Cyberbullying is a new term we came into. Sorry, a little bit of a disturbing picture, but I wanted to really illustrate how impactful this is. It's a recent phenomenon in which suicide is influenced by cyber aggression and harassment, and this was defined by Hinduja and Pachin, 2010. Another study by Fur et al., 1997, studied 16,410 Finnish students from the ages of 14 to 16. 4% of boys and 8% of girls who have been bullied had suicidal thoughts. And with the cyberbullies, with regards to them, 8% of the girls and boys showed significant suicidal thoughts. So the cyberbullies had those tendencies as well. Study by Vanderwall et al., 2003, surveyed 4,271 elementary school students. 18% of the boys had severe suicidal thoughts. There is no reason why a child who has their whole life ahead of them should be bullied by an individual, and it's just very sad. It's very sad. So the significant effects of cyberbullying, there were 3 significant events out in the media, which I'm going to be discussing. Occurrence number 1, Duke University, May 2010. A female student produced a false senior thesis presentation illustrating her sexual endeavors with 13 male students at the university. Using real names and pictures, this female forwarded false theses to 3 of her friends, which then they distributed all throughout YouTube. So this is a form of cyberbullying. It's embarrassment at its finest. And these male students were very badly affected by this at the university. Occurrence number 2, you may have heard about this as I discussed before, at Rutgers University. Tiger Clementi happened September of 2011. This picture was taken off of a public site. Tyler Clementi's on the left, and his roommate that basically publicized his sexual endeavors with his male friend. After the gentleman found out, he jumped off the bridge and shot and killed himself. Talented violinist, had a scholarship. It's just so sad. So without his knowledge, the male student's roommate had installed a webcam to monitor the activities going on in the room. The contents of the webcam of the male student have the sexual encounter with another man were broadcasted across Twitter. After the male student realized he had been taped, he committed suicide by jumping off the George Washington Bridge. Occurrence number 3, December 2012, involving catfishing. So catfishing means you're pretending to be something that you're not. You create a fake identity, impersonating another individual through social media sites. This happened to a Heisman Trophy candidate and Notre Dame football player. He had a 3-year fake online relationship that he thought was real with a female that he only communicated through the phone and social media, which he discovered never even existed. This really tarnished his reputation as a football player. And as you can see, cyberbullying can be done in all shapes and forms. So why is cyberbullying so important? The increase in detrimental detrimental acts such as cyberbullying increases the need for awareness of cyberbullying in higher education. A study done by Englander et al., 2009, of 283 freshman students found that 8% were